Was the Soviet Union a democracy? To answer the question of whether the Soviet Union was a democracy, we need to look at what democracy really means. Generally, democracy is a system where the people hold power, either directly or through elected representatives. In socialist contexts, this often means the working class has a role in governance. The Soviet Union, established in 1922, claimed to be a democratic state. It operated under a system called Soviet democracy. This involved electing delegates to local councils known as Soviets. These councils were intended to representing the interests of workers and were supposed to be accountable to the people who elected them. In theory, if a delegate did not representing their constituents well, they could be recalled. However, the reality was quite different. The Soviet Union was a one-party state, dominated by the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Elections were not open to all candidates. Instead, voters could only choose from candidates approved by the Communist Party. This limited the choices available and made genuine competition nearly impossible. The Supreme Soviet was the highest legislative body in the Soviet Union. It had two chambers, but most decisions were made by a small group of leaders within the Communist Party. This meant that although there was a structure resembling democracy, key elements like free elections and separation of powers were missing. From a socialist viewpoint, the Soviet model aimed to empower the working class. The idea was that the government should be accountable to the people. However, the lack of political diversity and the overwhelming control of the Communist Party meant that these ideals were not fully achieved. Despite its claims of being a democratic state, the Soviet Union's practices often contradicted the principles of democracy. The experience of the Soviet Union is an important chapter in the history of socialism. It highlights both the ambitions and the challenges faced when trying to implement democratic principles within a socialist framework.